Noah Quadio was 15 years old. A fragile age, suspended between childhood and adolescence, where the voice changes, but where the heart remains pure. He was a discreet, intelligent boy, a bit of a dreamer. His teachers often said of him that he was ahead, but he never boasted about it.
He loved classical music and the stars.
A rare mix of Chopin and galaxies. He collected old science fiction books, lost himself in the stories of interstellar civilizations, far, very far from this too narrow world. Noah almost never went out without a purpose. He didn't like crowds, fights, or smoke from scooters. He didn't need to prove that he was strong. He understood very early on that inside his skin, strength is a trap. That Friday, he spent 2 hours rehearsing at the conservatory. A prelude by Chopin, which he had been working on for weeks for a regional competition. His fingers were numb, but his soul was light. His teacher told him, "You play as if the piano were your breathing." He put away his score, put on his headphones and went out into the grey light of the dying day. It was cold. A humid cold, at the end of winter, where the sidewalks are still wet and people are in a hurry. He walked down a small shopping street, passed in front of the bookstore, nodded to the florist who had already seen him several times. In front of a snack vending machine, he stopped. He hesitated between a chocolate bar and dried fruit. He reached into his pocket, looking for the coins his mother had given him that morning. During this time, someone was looking at him.
A woman, behind the window.
She had been staring at him for a few minutes, her hand on her phone. She didn't know Noah. She had never seen his gentle gaze, his calm gestures. All she saw was a black boy, alone, in front of some shops, with a bag on his back. So she called the police. There's a black kid lurking around the corner of the bakery. He looks at people strangely.
Do something.
No theft.
No aggression. Just a suspicion. A reflex.
A black teenager who exists in public space. Agent Delmers was driving alone that evening. He didn't like night patrols, especially Fridays. It had hardened over time, or rather closed off. 15 years of service, accumulated frustrations, poorly paid overtime, and above all a tenacious hatred of youth. And even more so from these young people whom he referred to, bluntly, as thugs in the making. When the radio crackled to transmit the call to him, he took the opportunity as a certainty. He sped up, barely blinking, his adrenaline already pumping, not from fear, but from taste for control. When he saw Noah, he saw neither a child nor a student. He saw a silhouette to neutralize. An anomaly. A disruption in the normal decor of the city. Noah looked up. He saw a police car stop abruptly, a man in uniform get out, with a hard look, a military gait. "Hey, you," Delmers said, his voice dry and sharp. Noah jumped. He removed an earpiece. "Yes, sir.
Did you steal something?"
"How long have you been lurking there?"
Noah blinked, confused.
He slowly placed his coins in his palm. "No, sir, I just got here. I just wanted to." Delmers approached. Quickly. Too quickly. He wasn't listening. Noah, instinctively, took a step back. Not out of fear, but out of caution, out of incomprehension.
Bad reflex. Hold still. Hands in there. Noah bad.
He raised his arms, slowly.
A shiver in the fingers.
The beating heart. A mist of injustice that begins to rise in his throat. He has never been faced with this kind of situation. He doesn't know if he should speak, stay silent, explain. His brain is racing. He means,
I am the son of Commissioner Charles Quadio.
But he doesn't have time.
Del más sort son spray. Not a treat.
An automatic gesture. A hiss. An acid explosion. A cry. Noah falls to his knees. His eyes burn. His skin burns. He doesn't understand what's happening to him. He suffocates, tries to spit out the irritation. Everything is blurry. The smell is suffocating. He sees red, then black.
Passers-by come running. A woman screams. It's a kid. A man shouts.
But he's a damn child. Others take out their phones. They are filming. We hear protests, injunctions. More Delmers remains frozen. He puts his spray away, looks at Noah on the ground, out of breath. He resisted.
Routine check.
Move on. He doesn't see the tears. He does not see the boy's trembling hand reaching for his fallen glasses. He only sees what he wants to see. A profile. One color. A threat. And all the while, the world is watching. In silence. Or angry. And in another part of town, a powerful man receives a video on his phone. The face he sees on the ground is that of his son. At the same time, several kilometers away, in a cozy room at the Central Police Station, Commissioner Charles Quadio sat in a high-level meeting with the prefect, the Chief of Staff of the Ministry of the Interior, and some influential figures in public security. The agenda, the rise in tensions in certain neighborhoods, the need to appease tempers, and cruel irony, the question of representation and diversity in the police.
Charles listened, without letting anything show.
The city's first black police chief, it took him 25 years to take each step, one by one, in a steep and trapped staircase. At each level, he had to redouble his efforts, prove twice as much as the others, swallow the hurtful remarks hidden behind superficial smiles, the racist jokes slipped into the coffee machine, the condescending sighs as soon as he opened his mouth. He had held on. Because he believed in justice. Because he promised himself that one day he would be in a position to make things happen.
Araiches man.
A man of principles. His phone vibrated. A message from his daughter. Dad, you need to see this. Right now. He clicked. And he lives. The video was short and shaky, but clear.
A shopping street. A thin figure on the ground, screaming, eyes red, face bathed in tears and burns.
An agent, stiff, his arm still raised, holding a can of tear gas. His son, Noah, down.
Asphyxia.
Terrified. Wounded not by an accident, but by the brutal and arbitrary exercise of armed power.
Charles doente say a word.
Not a frown. Not a sigh. He stood up, closed his file, apologized in a neutral tone, and left the meeting. In the elevator, the doors barely closed, he felt something rising inside him. Cold anger. Ancient. Deep. The one he had tamed for years. That day she resurfaced, not for him, but for Noah.
For Alnoes.
All these black teenagers who are reduced to suspicious silhouettes as soon as they exist in public space. He was no longer just a commissioner. He was a father. And a black man in a system that doesn't forgive his people for just being there. When he arrived there, the flashing lights were spinning. The scene was surreal. Noah was still on the ground, protected by two passers-by who were trying to pour some water on his face. The firefighters had not yet arrived. The kid was shaking, breathing in fits and starts. His hand was still gripping his backpack, like an anchor. Delmers stood straight, his chest out, proud, convinced of having managed the situation. He observed the scene as one watches an area cleared of a threat. He did not immediately recognize the man who was striding towards him, but when he saw the senior officer's uniform, when he saw her face, when he understood, his expression changed. He stammered, Mr. Commissioner, I didn't know." Charles stopped a meter from him. "You didn't know what?" he asked in a calm, almost icy voice. I didn't know it was your son." Charles Quadio stared at him, his gaze as sharp as a blade. "And if it had been no one's son?" He paused, then continued, lower down.
"Yuga said a child.
My son. Because he was black, and he existed in a street. You judged, condemned, carried out an arbitrary control." Delmers stammered a few words, but the surrounding silence suffocated him. Passers-by's phones were raised. Everyone was filming. The uniform no longer protected Delmas. He was naked, exposed, reduced to what he had always been, a dangerous man, without restraint, comforted for too long by systemic impunity. Then Charles held out his hand. Your weapon. Your badge. Now.
Delmas hesitated.
Then he understood. He slowly removed his belt, took off his badge, and held them out, hands trembling. Charles took them, without a word, then turned to Noah.
And knelt down.
A hand on his son's shoulder. He murmured something that was not heard. Noah nodded slowly. The affair exploded. The video went around the country in a few hours. The 24-hour news channels kept coming back to it. Debates opened. Voices were raised. And above all, a question hammered everywhere. What if his father hadn't been a commissioner? How many black children experience this, every day, without justice, without witnesses, without cameras? But what changed opinion was the press conference held by Charles Quadio 2 days later. He appeared alone, without uniform, in a sober suit. Behind him, no flag, no badge, just a desk and microphones. He looked straight ahead. His voice, when it rose, was calm, solemn. I am a commissioner.
I am a father.
And I'm black. What my son experienced, I experienced. What so many of our children experience every day is a pain that we have learned to silence. But today, I refuse to be silent. Because if the police do not transform, they betray themselves. It was an electric shock. Delmas was suspended, then indicted. An internal investigation revealed that he had already been reported several times for disproportionate use of force, particularly against young people of color. The files had been classified.
No follow-up.
As always. But this time, the wall had given way. A few weeks later, Noah spoke. It was during a conference on police violence, organized in a large municipal hall. He went on stage.
Little beige sweater, serious look, calm voice.
I don't want to be a symbol. I just want to be able to walk down the street. Without anyone thinking I'm a danger. I want to be able to go home. I want to be able to exist. That's all. The silence that followed was overwhelming. Then, applause.
No enthusiasm.
No joy. But deep respect. And for the first time in a long time, in this city too often paralyzed by fear, the word justice found a breath. A promise.